Wonderland's War is the game this week. Did anybody do any research on how to play this?
I watched the video.
I watched the same.
I watched Alice in Wonderland, the cartoon.
All right. We are all playing as one of 5 different characters from Alice in Wonderland, and we are fighting for control of Wonderland. I guess Wonderland's in turmoil, and we all have different ideas of how to fix it.
It's
I don't
definitely
know.
It's got kings and queens, so they got, and nobody gets that way without fighting some wars.
That's fair.
So what you're saying is I've already won because I am the queen.
Well, I'm
You're
saying,
fighting to maintain control.
Stream over.
I think.
All right.
So, the game is played over a series of 3 rounds. Victory points are how we track who has the most influence throughout all 5 kingdoms. And at the end of 3 rounds, whoever has the most victory points becomes the new ruler of Wonderland. Each round, there are 2 phases, the tea party phase and the battle phase. Because you can't go to war with somebody until you've sat around a table hurling catty insults and sipping tea.
Makes sense.
Right?
Yeah.
like true British gentlemen.
Yes. And gentle ladies. And gentle cats and gentle jabberwocks. Tea party phase, we will take turns moving our mini in a clockwise direction around the table as many spaces as you want until you get to a card that you like, and then you'll stop on that plate. You'll pick up that card, you'll gain whatever the rewards are indicated by the iconography, which I'll talk about in a minute, and then you'll hold on to that card, and then the play continues. You can go through other players, you can't stop on other players or on a space that doesn't have a card. You have to pick up a card. And if you get around to the other end of all the way around the table, you'll stop in the middle of your turn at the head of the table to roll the shard die to gain that many shards from the supply.
You sharded.
Shards are bad, they're worth negative victory points at the end of the game. Then you will also replenish any empty spaces. An empty space, this does not count as empty because there's somebody there. This does. You'll draw from the deck to replace, and there's a different deck of cards for each phase of the game, so the rewards are going to get better as we go.
Well, there were. I dropped them all on the ground, and
now they're covered in beer.
and dog hair for some reason.
When you... it's everywhere. It's everywhere. If it's the start of your turn and you already have 4 cards, then instead of continuing to move around the table, you will move your leader mini to any one of the 5 kingdoms around the outside of the board. Once everybody has placed their minis in a kingdom, let's do that and that and that.
I didn't want to go there.
Tough. Then the tea party phase is over, and we move on. At the end of the tea party phase, everybody adds 1 madness token to their bag. And whoever has the most shards, consolation prize, gets to discard half of them and gets to go fishing in their bag for 1 madness chip that they can take out and put back in the supply. Then we move on to the battle phase. But before we do that, let's talk about what all these symbols mean. In the top left corner of some cards, there's a meeple with a number on it. That is telling you the number of units that you can place from your supply onto any one kingdom around the outside
Like
of the board.
these guys?
Like those guys. That guy, right? Wow, he's very dark.
He's dark green.
So yes, everybody's got meeple supporters. That's a unit. There are also, over on this side of the board here, Wonderlandians that you can collect. Some of them will be chips that you just add to your bag. Some of them will be minis that you can then put these custom... Oh, gotta move the card so people can see it. Thank you.
Oh, the white rabbit.
I 3D printed some stands so we could tell whose minis belong to who.
Wonderful.
So you can put one of those on there, and then when you claim a Wonderlandian, that's from this icon right here. Then you'll pick up that card and hold on to it to keep track of what the Wonderlandian's abilities do. You'll add the meeple the mini to your supply, and you can place it as a unit when you get to place units. The card has any special abilities printed on it, and if it's a mini, it'll have a strength value. We'll talk about that in a minute. Once you pick it up, you'll replenish from the deck over here to add a new Wonderlandian to the display. there are going to be a whole bunch of these that come up. These are ally chips. When you collect that reward, you will be able to take that token from the ally supply over on this side of the board. Just because of our table space, I did 2 rows of 3, and below each card is their weak value ally. Above each card is their strong value ally. Strong has 2 pips on the chip underneath that number, and weak has 1. So you'll claim, in this case, I would claim the weak version of the
Gotcha.
red rook. If when you claim that reward, there are no weak red rooks available.
Say that 5 times.
You can instead
Weak red rook.
claim any other weak ally
Okay,
chip when
that's
you
cool.
claim that reward. Same goes for this symbol right here with the Macintosh beach ball of death. That means you can claim any, in this case, weak ally chip to add to your bag.
Nice.
The symbol on top of that right there that has that black cube with the purple outline means that in order to claim that reward, you'll first have to roll the shard die and gain that many shards.
Wait, which icon?
This one right here, that little
Oh.
cube that's on top of it. So
Oh.
when I pick up this card, I can just take these rewards and ignore this one. But if I want to claim this one, I have to roll the shard die first.
Gotcha.
Similarly, if it shows up in the top right corner, then that applies to both of these rewards.
Do you get to take both of the rewards, or you always choosing
You get to take both if you roll the shard die.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
If you don't, then you can only take the units on that card. There's one that lets you discard 1 shard back to the supply. This one right here, the sword,
Word?
that will let you upgrade your leader strength, which is tracked on this track down here. And find that right up there when you get that reward.
Oh, there's a little meter down there.
Just start on 1?
It starts on 1. This one will let you unlock a faction ability. There are everybody has 4 unique abilities
I do.
that are covered by a token. When you unlock one, you just take that token off.
Awesome.
There are 2 that will affect your faction artifact chips, which are the ones that have a 3 on them. 2 abilities that will pertain to those artifact tokens, which have that icon next to them, and then there's 2 that'll be triggered based on whatever the text says. There's also one that lets you pick up a quest card. We'll talk about quest cards when we get through battle. I think that basically covers most of the iconography. That's the Tea Party phase. Battle phase, we will, starting with the zone that has the sword mini in it, and moving clockwise around the rest of them, we resolve battle. And this thing starts here, and then we roll. Actually, I should do this. Move it 1, 2, 3 spaces, and that's where we'll start in the first round. We'll take a look at each individual zone and resolve battle. First off, you're gonna calculate your starting strength for everybody who has at least 1 unit in that zone, unit or leader. Castles do not count if they're by themselves.
What's a
You don't.
castle?
Yeah, if you've got a castle and that's it, you don't have a presence. You're not fighting in that kingdom. But if you have at least 1 meeple or mini, then you are fighting. For everybody, well, first off, let's calculate starting strength. So you'll look at, if you've got a leader, you'll look at your leader strength on the track that we talked about a little bit ago. And then you'll move your mini, or your little on the battle track here. Actually, my leader's not there, but Shea's is, and Eric's is. And your leader strengths are at 1, so you get 1 strength for that. For each supporter, you'll get 1 strength. For each castle, you'll get 2. And for Wonderlandians, you'll get the strength indicated on their card by the number. Once everybody's starting strength is set, anybody who's not fighting, which in this case would be just Eric, can, if they want to, wager on who's going to win. And to do that, you'll take one of your wager cards and play it face down. in front of you, or on your player board, since that's where we have space. If you're right at the end of the battle, you'll earn 1 weak strength ally chip. If you're wrong, you get 1 shard. Once those are locked in, then we start fighting. Every combatant will reach into their bag and draw 1 chip blindly, hold it out in your fist over the table, turn it over, and reveal. And let's go over what's in everybody's bags at the start of the game. Everybody's gonna have 3 of something like this. It's just a standard faction chip with a 1 on it. They'll have 1 that has a 2 on it. You'll have 2 faction artifact chips and 1 forge chip, 2 standard madness chips, and 1 double madness chip. If you draw a madness chip, you're gonna move it immediately to your madness chip track in the top right of your player board.
Madness?
That makes sense.
And
This is smart.
you will then have to remove 1 unit for each broken meeple icon on that chip from the kingdom in question. When it comes to removing those, you can remove them in any order except your leader has to be the last thing you pull off. So I could pull off the white rabbit, or I could pull off one of these supporters. If you pull off a regular supporter, you lower your strength that many notches. If you pull off a Wonderlandian, you don't. Your strength stays the same. You just lose access to its abilities for the rest of that fight.
If you only had a supporter in a castle, do you lose that castle strength as well, since now you don't have a supporter there?
If you remove all of your units from a kingdom that's in combat, you have busted. And castles, again, don't count as units. Your castle will stay there, but you will bust for that fight, and we'll talk about busting.
Okay, cool.
Bustin' doesn't make me feel good.
Busted
in this
Dustin?
case.
Let's hope not.
Everybody's got a shield token. If you draw a madness chip and you don't have the unit, or you just don't want to, you can spend your shield token by flipping it to the broken side to put that madness chip back in your bag.
Okay, cool.
So maybe you start off the battle and you've only got 1 unit in that kingdom and you're like, I don't want to fight, but I have to draw a chip. Let's see what this is. Nope. Spend the shield, put it back in. I'm out. I'm tapped out. I don't want to bust. If you pull anything else out of your bag, you're going to put into your active chip track up at the top of your player board. You'll gain that many points on your on the battle track for strength. And then if that chip has any abilities that would be triggered when it's played, you would do those as well. So like the allied cards over here, all of these allied cards have an ability written on them, and we all also have a reference card that doesn't show up very well on the card cam to give you like a description, a rundown of what all of those are. We're looking at the A side tonight. There are 4 different sets of abilities for all of these allies, but we're looking at the A's. So let's say, for example, that I pulled out a flamingo and I put it on my active chip track. That's worth 1 strength right now, but the ability on that flamingo is double the strength of the next chip that I place in the active track. So if I then pull out a 3, that's then 6 for the next thing, plus whatever its abilities are. If at any point you're feeling like your forces in that kingdom are getting a little slim, or you've just got a healthy enough lead, or there's a quest card, which I'll talk about in a second, that you want to fulfill or whatever, you can decide to reach into your bag and pull out nothing instead of pulling out a chip to say, I'm tapped out.
Got it.
In which case you're resting, and everybody else who's still fighting continues fighting. Your strength stays where it is, and we keep going until everybody's either busted or tapped out. If anybody ever reaches 25 on the strength track, the battle is immediately over, that person wins.
Ooh.
Otherwise, you keep going until everybody's done,
Gotcha.
and then whoever has the most wins the fight. They earn a reward of victory points based on the token that's in that kingdom. In the first round, this kingdom would be worth 6. The second round would be worth 6, and the third round would be worth 8.
So those don't move. That's just like
those are all
pre-game
those
setup?
are all pre-game randomly placed. Also, for winning a battle, you get to place a castle if you don't already have one in that kingdom.
Okay.
You can only have 1 castle in each kingdom, max.
Okay.
If you get second place, you'll get half of the victory point reward. If there's a tie for first, you have to choose between either gaining the victory point reward or the castle. If there's a tie for second, you get half of half.
Round up or down?
We'll say round up. I think that's what it says in the rule book. I don't remember.
I like round up.
Let's say round up. Also, if there's a kingdom in contest where there's only one combatant, there's no battle. There's no contest. That person automatically gets first place, but it's as if they would tie for first place. They have to choose between either victory points or castle. They don't earn both. So that's the scoring. Then you would resolve wagers. On a wager, if there's a tie for first place, all wagers are null and void. If there is one clear winner, then you get a weak ally chip for being right and a shard for being wrong.
Gotcha.
Then you resolve quest cards. At the start of the game, everybody's going to get 2 of these. You'll pick one and shuffle the others back in the deck. There's also reward icons where you'll be able to draw additional quest cards to add to your hand. Post-battle, you can check the feat section of a quest card and see if you have fulfilled that requirement. If you have, you can play that quest card face up somewhere on your ample table space and gain 3 victory points. And then at the end of the game, whether you've played your quest card or not, whether it's still in your hand or it's on the table, you can check to see if you've fulfilled endgame objectives and earn 3 victory points for that. If you fulfill both on any quest cards, you'll get an additional 3 victory points for doing both. If you have any forge chips in your active chip tray at the end of a battle, then you have the option to forge that many chips from your active chip row down to any one of the 4 forge tracks. It doesn't have to be the forge chip. You could choose to forge a different chip, or you could forge the forge chip itself. When you forge a chip, you've lost it forever.
Right.
But you gain whatever reward you cover with it. In this, we've talked about these ones. In this row, you gain new supporters to add to your supply because you have a limited supply of supporters. By the way, if you end up getting to a point where it says you can place 3 units and you don't have them in your supply, you can reallocate instead from other places on the board. Cool. But this row will add new,
so we can only get 4 extra
supply.
supporters?
Yes. This bottom track down here, there's these will earn you more victory points for your castles at the end of the game. At the start of the game, castles, if you don't do anything to this track, your castles will all be worth 3 victory points each.
Okay.
But you can get up to 6 points if you fill this track for each castle. Also, if you completely fill a forge track, you'll notice that you have another faction artifact over on the right side that you gain access to once you've filled 1 row.
Nice.
And in cases like this, where there's a reward icon listed between 2 spaces, you earn that once you've covered both of those. And obviously, you fill these spaces from left to right.
Wait, say that again, what?
This guy right here, this reward,
since it's got the arrow?
It's because it's in between 2 spaces. That arrow symbol, Dustin, means that I can unlock one of these. That's what that reward icon is.
Gotcha.
But I don't get that reward until I cover both this space and this space.
Gotcha, and you gotta take a shard for that top one. Oh, that's a remove a shard.
That's remove a shard,
cool.
yeah.
Got it.
But you can choose any row, or
you can place in any row, you just fill from left to right in each row.
But you don't have to go top to bottom, right?
No, you don't have to go top to bottom or anything like that.
Cool.
Once you've done any forging, and forging is always optional, then everything that's in your active chip row, you pick up and you move down to exhausted chips, which I'm going to put mine up here, because that's where I have room for them. Back to madness chips. First off, if you fill your row with madness chips at any point, that symbol right there means you reload the bag. All your madness chips and all your exhausted chips go back into the bag at that point. If you bust, if you pull out your last unit from the kingdom that's being contested, you immediately move all your active chips down to exhausted. You do get to refresh your your shield token, which I think that's about the only time you ever get to refresh it, so use it sparingly. And you are penalized with, you don't get any endgame bonuses. Your strength goes down to 0 for that fight. Your leader strength goes back to 1 if you bust. part
So
over
just
there.
don't bust.
Don't bust. It's real
Gotcha.
bad. Busting makes you feel bad.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But if you bust in the process of adding your Last Madness chip, all your active chips go exhausted first, and then you throw everything back into the bag. So at least there's that.
Yeah.
I think that's everything.
Let's play.
So that's been the Board and Barrel. Thank you all so
Yeah.
much for
It's been great.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you like that, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and most importantly, go on over to twitch.tv/BnBTabletop and give us a follow there. We play board games live every Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Time on a show we call The Board and Barrel. And it's a very interactive broadcast. We have house rules that you guys can influence throughout the course of the game, virtual bingo, you can bet on who's gonna win. It's a lot of fun, and I look forward to seeing you there.